Welcome to Stoic Mastery, where we explore timeless wisdom that can change your life. Today we're diving into 13 Stoic lessons that have the power to change your perspective and help you live with greater clarity and purpose. Stoicism, the ancient philosophy practiced by the likes of Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus, teaches us how to cultivate inner peace, resilience, and strength in the face of life's challenges. In our fast-paced world, it's easy to feel overwhelmed, anxious, or disconnected from what truly matters. We're constantly bombarded by external pressures, whether it's work, social media, or the pursuit of material success. But the Stoics remind us that real happiness and tranquility come from within. These lessons aren't just ancient ideas. They're as relevant today as they were 2,000 years ago. Whether you're facing a personal challenge, struggling with stress, or simply seeking more fulfillment in everyday life, Stoicism offers practical tools for living a better life. In this video, we'll uncover the key teachings of Stoicism that can transform your mindset. These 13 Stoic principles will guide you toward becoming a more grounded, resilient, and fulfilled version of yourself. So if you're ready to take control of your life, embrace wisdom, and pursue inner peace, let's begin with the first Stoic lesson that can change your life completely. Lesson 1. Focus only on what you can control. One of the most foundational lessons in Stoicism is learning to distinguish between what you can control and what you cannot. This concept is a cornerstone of Stoic thought and can drastically change how you approach life's challenges. Epictetus, one of the key Stoic philosophers, famously said, "We are disturbed not by things, but by the views we take of them." This statement captures the essence of this lesson. It's not the events themselves that cause distress, but rather our perception and reaction to them. So what exactly does it mean to focus only on what you can control? In life, there are two broad categories of things: those that are within your power and those that are not. According to the Stoics, the only things that are truly in our control are our own thoughts, actions, and attitudes. Everything else, external events, the opinions of others, the past, and even certain aspects of our health, are outside of our control. This distinction is crucial because most of our anxiety, stress, and frustration comes from trying to control things that are fundamentally beyond our influence. For example, imagine you're stuck in traffic on the way to an important meeting. You can't control the traffic or how fast it moves, but you can control your response to it. You could choose to get upset and stressed, or you could accept the situation, take a deep breath, and perhaps use the extra time to listen to an audiobook or practice mindfulness. By focusing only on what you can control, you free yourself from unnecessary worry and suffering. This doesn't mean you become indifferent to what's happening around you, but rather that you approach life with a sense of clarity and perspective. When you let go of trying to control the uncontrollable, you can direct your energy toward things that actually matter, like how you respond to challenges, how you treat others, and how you cultivate your own character. Another example of this principle in action is dealing with the opinions of others. Many people waste a great deal of time and energy trying to control how they are perceived by others. However, the Stoics remind us that we cannot control other people's thoughts or actions. What we can control is our own behavior, and whether or not we act in accordance with our values. If you live in a way that is true to your principles, it doesn't matter what others think of you. Their opinions are outside your control and therefore not worth worrying about. Practicing this lesson can be liberating because it reduces the amount of mental clutter in your life. When faced with a difficult situation, you can simply ask yourself, is this something I can control? If the answer is no, then there's no need to waste energy on it. If the answer is yes, you can take constructive action. Of course, this doesn't happen overnight. It takes practice and self-awareness to consistently apply this principle. The Stoics suggest reflecting on this idea daily. One effective method is journaling. Write down the things that are currently causing you stress or anxiety and then categorize them. Are they within your control, or are they outside of it? By regularly doing this exercise, you train yourself to let go of what you can't control and focus on what you can. Lesson 2. Embrace adversity as an opportunity. The Stoics believe that adversity is not something to be feared or avoided, but rather something to be embraced as a natural part of life that offers tremendous opportunities for growth and self-improvement. This lesson is central to Stoic philosophy, which teaches that it is through challenges that we develop our strength of character, resilience, and wisdom. At first glance, this might seem counterintuitive. Most people instinctively shy away from difficulties, seeking comfort and ease. But the Stoics took a different approach. They viewed obstacles as necessary for developing virtues like courage, patience, and perseverance. As Marcus Aurelius, one of the most famous Stoic philosophers, said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, the obstacles we face are not hindrances to our progress. They are the very path to our growth. Let's break this down. Every adversity we encounter in life presents us with two options. We can either view it as something negative and allow it to defeat us, or we can see it as an opportunity to learn, improve, and become stronger. For the Stoics, the latter was always the better choice. This mindset shift is transformative because it reframes the way we approach challenges. Rather than fearing difficulties, we can welcome them as opportunities to test our character and refine our skills. Consider the example of athletes. They don't become stronger by lifting lighter weights. They improve by constantly challenging their limits with heavier weights. In much the same way, life's adversities are like those heavier weights, pushing us beyond our comfort zones, forcing us to grow. The more we embrace adversity, the more resilient and capable we become in dealing with future challenges. Stoicism also teaches us that adversity reveals who we really are. When everything is going smoothly, it's easy to maintain composure and act virtuously. However, when faced with hardship, our true nature comes to the surface. Adversity tests our ability to remain calm, rational, and kind under pressure. It's easy to be patient when life is easy, but real patience is demonstrated when things aren't going our way. Through adversity, we get the chance to prove both to ourselves and others what kind of person we are. Moreover, Stoics believe that adversity provides an opportunity to practice acceptance and inner fortitude. In life, there will always be situations beyond our control. We can't prevent many of the difficulties we face, but we can control how we respond to them. Adversity gives us the chance to practice accepting life's uncertainties with grace and resilience. By facing challenges head-on, we develop the mental toughness to remain steadfast in the face of hardship. This doesn't mean that Stoicism teaches us to seek out suffering or to be indifferent to pain. Rather, it's about adopting a mindset that allows us to handle life's inevitable hardships without being overwhelmed by them. By seeing adversity as a natural part of life, we reduce its power to cause us unnecessary distress. We accept that challenges are inevitable, and instead of resisting them, we focus on how we can use them to grow stronger. Another key aspect of this Stoic lesson is understanding that adversity helps us develop empathy and compassion for others. When we've been through difficult times ourselves, we're better able to relate to and support others who are experiencing similar hardships. Adversity gives us the perspective to appreciate life's blessings and the humility to recognize that everyone faces their own struggles. Lesson 3. Practice mindfulness of death, memento mori. One of the most profound and transformative lessons in Stoicism is the practice of memento mori, which translates to, remember that you will die. While this might sound morbid at first, it is, in fact, a powerful tool for living a meaningful and intentional life. The Stoics believed that regularly contemplating our mortality leads to greater appreciation of life, more focus on what truly matters, and a deeper sense of purpose. In modern society, death is often a taboo subject, something people try to avoid thinking about. However, the Stoics took the opposite approach. They embraced the reality of death and saw it as a reminder to live fully in the present. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, often reflected on the brevity of life, urging himself to think of yourself as dead. You have lived your life. Now take what's left and live it properly. This perspective shifts the focus from fearing death to using it as a motivator to make the most of our limited time on Earth. Why is this practice so powerful? First, it helps us clarify our priorities. When we truly understand that our time is finite, we become less likely to waste it on trivial matters. How often do we get caught up in petty arguments, material pursuits, or endless distractions? Memento mori reminds us that life is too short for these things. Instead, we should focus on what brings us joy, fulfillment, and connection. We become more intentional with our time, choosing to invest it in meaningful relationships, personal growth, and experiences that enrich our lives. Furthermore, practicing memento mori can significantly reduce anxiety and fear about death itself. The Stoics believe that fearing death is irrational because it is a natural part of life, something that will happen to all of us. Instead of dreading it, They taught that we should accept it with grace and prepare for it by living a virtuous and meaningful life. When you consistently remind yourself of your mortality, death loses its power to paralyze you with fear. You come to understand that while you cannot control when or how you die, you can control how you live. This practice also fosters a greater appreciation for the present moment. When we are constantly rushing through life, caught up in future plans or regrets from the past, we forget to savor the present. Memento mori brings us back to the now, reminding us that today could be our last day. This doesn't mean we should live recklessly, but rather that we should make the most of each moment, whether it's spending time with loved ones, pursuing a passion, or simply enjoying a sunset. We begin to appreciate life's small pleasures with more intensity and gratitude. Another important aspect of memento mori is that it encourages humility. The realization that death comes for everyone, no matter their wealth, status, or accomplishments, is a humbling thought. It reminds us that we are all part of the same human experience and that in the end, we are not as different from one another as we might think. This can foster compassion and a greater sense of connectedness with others. On a practical level, how can we incorporate memento mori into our daily lives? One way is through journaling. You might spend a few minutes each day reflecting on your mortality, asking yourself questions like, if today were my last day, what would I do differently? Or, am I living in alignment with my values and purpose? Another way is to simply remind yourself throughout the day that life is short. This could be as simple as taking a moment to breathe deeply and reflect on the preciousness of life when you feel stressed or overwhelmed. Lesson 4. Detach from external validation. One of the most liberating lessons in Stoicism is the idea that we should not seek validation or approval from external sources. In a world that constantly pushes us to seek approval through social media likes, career accolades, and societal expectations, the Stoics remind us that true contentment comes from within. By detaching ourselves from the need for external validation, we cultivate inner peace, self-confidence, and the ability to live in accordance with our own values rather than the shifting opinions of others. At its core, Stoicism teaches that the only things we truly control are our own thoughts, actions, and judgments. Everything else, other people's opinions, circumstances, outcomes, are beyond our control. When we base our self-worth on how others perceive us, we hand over our power to forces we cannot influence. This is a recipe for anxiety, insecurity, and dissatisfaction. The Stoics urge us to reclaim that power by focusing on what we can control, how we live, and the integrity of our actions. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, offers wise advice on this matter in his Meditations. He reminds us that it is not what others think of us that matters, but how we behave in accordance with our own values. It never ceases to amaze me, he writes, that we all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own. This insight highlights the paradox that many of us face. We want to be true to ourselves, but we let the opinions of others guide our actions. Detaching from external validation does not mean that we become indifferent to other people or reject social norms completely. Rather, it means that we prioritize our internal compass over external praise. The Stoics believed that living virtuously, through wisdom, courage, justice, and self-discipline, was far more important than winning approval. If you live in alignment with these principles, it doesn't matter whether others recognize your efforts or not. In fact, trying to please everyone is a futile endeavor because opinions are subjective and constantly changing. By focusing on internal validation, we build self-respect. When you know that you are acting with integrity, you develop a strong sense of self-worth that does not depend on external feedback. Imagine the freedom that comes from knowing that your value as a person is not determined by whether people like you, agree with you, or applaud your efforts. This inner confidence allows you to navigate life's challenges with calmness and resilience because you are anchored in your own sense of worth. Additionally, the Stoics teach us that the pursuit of external validation often leads to compromise and self-betrayal. When we crave approval, we are more likely to make decisions that go against our values or that are not in our best interest. We might take on responsibilities that overwhelm us because we want to be seen as dependable, or we might hold back from expressing our true thoughts for fear of judgment. Over time, these compromises chip away at our authenticity and can leave us feeling disconnected from who we truly are. Learning to detach from external validation also brings more peace to our relationships. When we no longer depend on others to affirm our worth, we become less reactive to criticism and more open to feedback. We can engage with others from a place of calmness and curiosity, without the need to prove ourselves or protect our egos. This improves our interactions with others, allowing for more genuine and balanced relationships. How can we start practicing this Stoic lesson in our daily lives? Begin by paying attention to how much of your behavior is driven by a desire for approval. When you make decisions, ask yourself, am I doing this because it aligns with my values, or because I want to be liked or admired? Over time, practice shifting your focus to what feels true and right for you, regardless of how others respond. Additionally, spend time each day reflecting on your own actions and choices. Build self-awareness by asking yourself, did I act according to my principles today? Rather than, did others notice or praise my efforts? Lesson 5. Cultivate gratitude daily. Gratitude is one of the most powerful tools for cultivating inner peace, contentment, and resilience in the Stoic philosophy. The Stoics believed that by appreciating what we have and focusing on the positives in our lives, we can transform our mindset and experience greater joy, even in the midst of life's challenges. In a world that constantly pushes us to seek more success, more possessions, more recognition, the practice of daily gratitude is a radical way to ground ourselves in the present and find fulfillment with what we already have. At the heart of Stoic gratitude is the understanding that much of what we experience is beyond our control. The Stoics taught that we should accept the world as it is and appreciate the good that exists in it, rather than constantly longing for more. By focusing on what is within our reach and learning to value even the smallest blessings, we can maintain a sense of tranquility and satisfaction. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, often reflected on gratitude as a practice that helps us recognize the value of life's everyday gifts. He wrote, "Don't set your mind on things you don't possess, but count the blessings you actually possess and think how much you would desire them if they weren't already yours." This perspective shift is key. Instead of yearning for things you don't have, focus on what is already in your life and imagine how fortunate you are to have those things, whether it's good health, meaningful relationships, or even just a peaceful moment to yourself. Gratitude, in the Stoic sense, isn't limited to celebrating life's big achievements or fortunate circumstances. It also involves recognizing the value in challenges and hardships. This doesn't mean pretending that difficulties aren't hard, but rather understanding that every obstacle is an opportunity for growth. The Stoics taught that everything that happens, whether we label it good or bad, is ultimately useful in shaping our character. By being grateful even for setbacks, we develop resilience and learn to face life's difficulties with a sense of purpose. Another important aspect of Stoic gratitude is practicing acceptance. When we resist what happens to us, wishing things were different or constantly comparing our circumstances to others, we create unnecessary suffering. The Stoics encourage us to practice gratitude for the life we are living right now, rather than always chasing an idealized future. By accepting our present circumstances, we reduce the power of external events to disturb our inner peace. This doesn't mean we stop striving for improvement, but it does mean that we find contentment in the journey, not just the destination. The benefits of gratitude extend far beyond mental and emotional well-being. Modern scientific research supports what the Stoics knew centuries ago. Practicing gratitude has been shown to improve physical health, strengthen relationships, and reduce stress. When we focus on what we're grateful for, we shift our attention away from negativity and create a positive feedback loop that reinforces our sense of well-being. So, how can you cultivate gratitude daily in your life? One simple and effective method is to start a gratitude journal. Every day, take a few moments to write down 3 things you're grateful for. These can be big or small, anything from a delicious meal to a supportive conversation with a friend. Over time, this practice trains your mind to focus on the positives, helping you build a habit of gratitude. Another practice is to express gratitude directly to the people in your life. Whether it's through a kind word, a thoughtful message, or a simple thank you. Letting others know that you appreciate them strengthens your relationships and fosters a sense of connection. Lastly, when you face a difficult situation, pause and reflect on what lesson or opportunity it might offer. While it may be hard to feel grateful in the moment, this practice of finding value in adversity helps you develop a Stoic mindset that sees every experience as part of the path to growth. Lesson 6. Live according to nature. the Stoics believed that to live a fulfilling and virtuous life, we must align ourselves with nature, both the nature of the universe and our own human nature. This core Stoic teaching, live according to nature, encourages us to understand and accept the natural order of the world while living in harmony with our inner nature, which includes reason, virtue, and a sense of purpose. But what does it mean to live according to nature? First, it's essential to understand that for the Stoics, nature isn't just about the environment or the physical world. It's also about how the universe operates, including the roles we play within it. The Stoics saw the universe as an interconnected system governed by reason and rational laws. They believed that human beings, as part of this system, are meant to live in accordance with these natural laws. When we align our thoughts and actions with nature, we find peace and fulfillment. One of the most significant aspects of living according to nature is accepting things as they are. The Stoics understood that much of life is beyond our control: birth, death, illness, the actions of others, and many other external events. Rather than resisting the natural flow of life, the Stoics encourage us to embrace it. This is where the famous Stoic practice of amor fati, or love of fate, comes into play. It's not enough to simply accept what happens to us. We must actively embrace it, understanding that everything that occurs is part of the natural order. By doing so, we reduce suffering caused by resistance and cultivate inner peace. Living according to nature also means recognizing and fulfilling our role as rational beings. The Stoics believed that humans are unique in that we possess reason, and it is this rational nature that separates us from other creatures. Therefore, a key part of living in harmony with our nature is using our reason to guide our actions and decisions. Reason enables us to discern right from wrong, make thoughtful choices, and live virtuously. When we act irrationally, by letting emotions like anger or fear take control, we are acting against our nature, which leads to inner turmoil and discontent. Moreover, living according to nature involves understanding our connection to others. The Stoics believed that all humans are part of a larger community, bound by shared humanity and a common purpose. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations here, wrote, "We are all working together toward one common purpose, some with knowledge and understanding, others without it." This sense of interconnectedness reminds us that we are not isolated individuals but part of a larger whole. By living virtuously and considering the welfare of others, we contribute to the greater good of humanity, which is a fundamental aspect of our natural purpose. Another important element of living according to nature is moderation. The Stoics taught that we should avoid excess in all areas of life, whether it be material possessions, pleasure, or even emotions. Temperance, one of the 4 Stoic virtues, encourages us to find balance and not be swayed by extreme desires or indulgences. This doesn't mean denying ourselves pleasures entirely, but rather enjoying them in moderation and without attachment. By maintaining this balance, we remain grounded and focused on what truly matters: our character and our pursuit of virtue. Finally, living according to nature means accepting impermanence. Everything in life is in a constant state of change, and the Stoics remind us that nothing lasts forever. Whether it's our relationships, possessions, or even our own lives, all things will eventually come to an end. By recognizing this truth, we can learn to let go of attachment and live more fully in the present. The awareness of impermanence helps us appreciate life's fleeting moments and prioritize what is truly meaningful. Lesson 7. Practice voluntary discomfort. One of the most distinctive lessons in Stoicism is the practice of voluntary discomfort. This involves intentionally exposing ourselves to discomfort or hardship in small, controlled ways to build resilience, strengthen our character, and appreciate the comforts we often take for granted. The Stoics believed that by practicing discomfort, we become better equipped to handle life's inevitable challenges, developing a stronger mental and emotional fortitude. The philosopher Seneca famously wrote about practicing voluntary discomfort in his letters, encouraging people to set aside a certain number of days, during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress. He advised people to question themselves, "Is this what I feared?" The idea behind this practice is that by occasionally living without luxuries and facing mild discomfort, we can reduce our fear of losing them and train ourselves to be less attached to material wealth, comfort, and external conditions. The Stoics recognize that much of our anxiety and dissatisfaction in life stems from our fear of discomfort or deprivation. We fear losing our jobs, our status, our possessions, or our relationships because we believe that without these things we will suffer greatly. However, by deliberately practicing voluntary discomfort, we can confront these fears head-on and realize that we are more capable than we think. We learn that we can live happily with less and that our happiness is not entirely dependent on external factors. For example, fasting for a day, walking instead of driving, or taking a cold shower are all simple ways to practice voluntary discomfort. These acts may seem minor, but they have a powerful psychological effect. They teach us self-discipline, remind us of our resilience, and help us build mental toughness. In addition, when we regularly practice voluntary discomfort, we become more adaptable and less likely to panic when we encounter real hardships, such as financial struggles, health problems, or relationship issues. We train ourselves to endure and thrive in less than ideal circumstances. Voluntary discomfort also cultivates gratitude. In our daily lives, it's easy to become so accustomed to comfort and convenience that we start taking them for granted. By voluntarily stepping outside of our comfort zone, we are reminded of how fortunate we are to have access to basic needs like food, shelter, and warmth. After a period of fasting, for example, even a simple meal can feel like a luxury. This heightened sense of appreciation enriches our lives, making us more mindful of the abundance we already have. The practice of voluntary discomfort aligns with the Stoic virtue of temperance, living in moderation and avoiding excessive indulgence. Stoicism teaches us that seeking constant pleasure and comfort can make us weak, dependent, and easily disturbed when things don't go our way. By practicing moderation and exposing ourselves to discomfort in small doses, we avoid becoming overly attached to comforts and pleasures. Instead, we learn to enjoy them when they come, but not be distressed when they are absent. Moreover, this practice challenges the common societal belief that happiness comes from avoiding discomfort and maximizing pleasure. The Stoics argue that true happiness and inner peace come from resilience, self-control, and contentment with what we have. When we voluntarily endure discomfort, we prove to ourselves that we are capable of handling adversity and that we don't need external luxuries to be fulfilled. Lesson 8. Maintain a journal of self-reflection. One of the key practices the Stoics advocated for was the habit of daily self-reflection through journaling. This practice helps cultivate mindfulness, improve decision-making, and align actions with values. For the Stoics, self-reflection wasn't just a philosophical exercise. It was a vital tool for personal growth and for living a life of virtue. By maintaining a journal of self-reflection, we can better understand our thoughts, behaviors, and emotions, allowing us to live with greater intentionality and wisdom. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and a central figure in Stoicism, is perhaps the most famous example of this practice. His personal writings, compiled in Meditations, offer a window into his daily self-reflection. He would examine his actions, thoughts, and responses to the events of the day, asking himself how well he lived according to Stoic principles. This process of reflection helped him stay grounded, focused, and virtuous, despite the enormous pressures of ruling an empire. But why is self-reflection so important? In our fast-paced world, we often move from one task to another without stopping to think about the motivations behind our actions or the impact of our decisions. Self-reflection allows us to pause and evaluate our behavior, asking ourselves whether we are living in alignment with our values. Are we being kind, courageous, wise, and self-disciplined? Or are we letting external pressures, emotions, or impulses guide our actions? Regular reflection through journaling provides the opportunity to assess our progress and make adjustments where necessary. Journaling also promotes self-awareness, which is crucial for personal growth. When we write about our experiences, we gain insight into our patterns of thought and behavior. We can identify areas where we tend to react impulsively or irrationally, and we can learn to respond more thoughtfully in the future. By writing about our emotions and challenges, we gain clarity on what drives us and what holds us back. This self-awareness enables us to approach life with greater mindfulness and intentionality, helping us make better choices. Additionally, keeping a journal of self-reflection encourages accountability. When we document our thoughts, goals, and progress, we create a record of our personal journey. This makes it easier to track our growth and recognize patterns of behavior that may need improvement. For example, if you notice that you frequently react with anger in certain situations, Journaling about those instances can help you understand the triggers and guide you in managing your reactions better. Over time, you can look back at your entries and see how far you've come, reinforcing your commitment to self-improvement. Another benefit of journaling is that it provides a safe space for introspection and emotional processing. Life's challenges can often feel overwhelming, and writing about them helps you organize your thoughts and emotions. By putting your experiences into words, you create distance between yourself and the situation, which can lead to a more objective perspective. This process can be incredibly therapeutic and can help reduce anxiety, stress, and negative emotions. The Stoics also believe that journaling fosters gratitude. As you reflect on your day, you are encouraged to acknowledge not only the challenges, but also the positive moments and lessons. This habit helps you cultivate a mindset of appreciation for the small victories, the support of others, and the opportunities for growth. Gratitude journaling aligns with Stoic teachings on focusing on what you can control and finding joy in life's simple, everyday blessings. How can you start incorporating journaling into your daily life? Set aside a few minutes at the end of each day to reflect on how you lived that day. Ask yourself questions such as, did I live according to my values? What did I learn today? How can I improve tomorrow? Write honestly and without judgment, using the journal as a tool for growth, not perfection. Lesson 9. Remember that emotions are temporary. In Stoicism, one of the essential lessons is the recognition that emotions are fleeting and temporary. While the Stoics never suggested suppressing or ignoring emotions, they emphasized the importance of understanding their transient nature and learning to manage them through reason and self-awareness. By recognizing that emotions come and go, we can maintain inner peace and avoid being swept away by impulsive reactions or destructive feelings. At the heart of this Stoic teaching is the idea that emotions are natural human responses to external events, but do not have to control our actions. The Stoics believed that emotions arise from our judgments and perceptions of situations rather than the situations themselves. In other words, it's not what happens to us that stirs our emotions, but how we interpret those events. As Epictetus famously stated, men are disturbed not by things but by the views which they take of them. Understanding this gives us the power to manage our emotional responses more effectively. When we face stressful or challenging situations, emotions like anger, fear, or sadness can arise almost instantly. However, the Stoics remind us that these emotional surges are temporary. If we pause and allow time for reflection, the intensity of these feelings will diminish. Instead of acting impulsively in the heat of the moment, we can practice patience and observe the emotion without being consumed by it. Marcus Aurelius advised, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This strength comes from our ability to recognize that we can choose how to respond, even when emotions seem overwhelming. Understanding the impermanence of emotions helps us avoid being enslaved by them. When we recognize that feelings like anger, frustration, or fear are transient, we are less likely to make rash decisions that we might later regret. The Stoics advocated for pausing when emotions run high and reflecting on whether our emotional response aligns with reason and virtue. By doing so, we prevent emotions from dictating our behavior and instead act in accordance with our values. This practice of reflection is central to Stoic philosophy and can help us maintain a sense of calm even in difficult circumstances. Additionally, acknowledging the temporary nature of emotions allows us to navigate life's inevitable ups and downs with greater ease. Life is full of moments of joy, sadness, excitement, and disappointment. But none of these emotions lasts forever. When we experience intense emotions, whether positive or negative, Stoicism teaches us to remember that they will pass. This perspective helps us stay grounded, appreciating the good moments without becoming overly attached, and weathering the bad moments without being overwhelmed. By viewing emotions as temporary, we also cultivate greater resilience. When difficult emotions arise, we can remind ourselves that they are fleeting, much like passing clouds. This mindset empowers us to face challenges with a clear mind, knowing that emotions, however intense they may feel in the moment, will eventually fade. We become less reactive and more capable of responding to situations with clarity and composure. One practical method the Stoics used to manage emotions was to practice reframing their thoughts. When faced with an emotion like anger, They would pause and ask themselves whether their interpretation of the situation was rational. Is the event truly as bad as it seems, or am I allowing my emotions to distort my perception? By shifting the way we think about a situation, we can reduce the emotional intensity and gain a more balanced perspective. Lesson 10. Be present in each moment. One of the central tenets of Stoic philosophy is the importance of living fully in the present moment. The Stoics believed that much of human suffering arises from our tendency to dwell on the past or worry about the future. By focusing on the here and now, we can live more intentionally, make better decisions, and experience a deeper sense of contentment and peace. Lesson 10 in Stoicism teaches us to embrace the present, knowing that it is the only time we truly have. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, often emphasized the importance of being present. He wrote, "Confine yourself to the present." This simple but profound instruction reflects a key Stoic insight. Life is a series of present moments, and the past and future exist only in our minds. When we live in the present, we engage with reality as it is, rather than being distracted by regrets about what has already happened or anxiety about what might happen. This allows us to act with clarity and purpose. One of the greatest challenges to being present is the human tendency to ruminate on the past. We often replay past events in our minds, wondering what we could have done differently or how things might have turned out if we had made different choices. However, Stoicism teaches that the past is beyond our control, and no amount of dwelling on it can change what has already happened. The Stoics urge us to accept the past as it is, and to focus instead on what we can do in the present. By letting go of regrets, we free ourselves from unnecessary emotional baggage and create space for growth and action. Similarly, worrying about the future can prevent us from living fully in the present. Many people spend a significant amount of time imagining worst-case scenarios or fearing outcomes that may never come to pass. The Stoics remind us that the future is uncertain and largely out of our control. Instead of trying to predict or control it, they encourage us to prepare for it by making the most of the present moment. By focusing on what we can do right now, we not only reduce anxiety but also set ourselves up for a better future through deliberate, meaningful action. Being present also helps us appreciate life's small, everyday moments. In the hustle and bustle of daily life, it's easy to become so preoccupied with goals and tasks that we forget to enjoy the simple pleasures around us. Whether it's a quiet morning cup of coffee, a meaningful conversation with a friend, or a walk in nature, being fully present allows us to savor these experiences and find joy in the moment. The Stoics believed that happiness isn't found in grand achievements or distant goals, but in living each moment fully and intentionally. Another key aspect of being present is mindfulness. The Stoics practiced a form of mindfulness by paying close attention to their thoughts, actions, and surroundings. They believed that by staying aware of what we are doing and why we are doing it, we can ensure that our actions are aligned with our values and that we are living virtuously. This mindfulness helps us avoid acting out of habit or impulse, allowing us to make conscious choices that reflect our best selves. To cultivate presence, the Stoics often practiced daily reflection and meditation. They would take time each day to reflect on their actions, asking themselves if they had lived in accordance with their principles and whether they had been fully present in their interactions and decisions. This practice not only helped them stay grounded in the present moment, but also provided them with insights into how they could improve in the future. Lesson 11. Let go of attachment to outcomes. One of the most liberating lessons in Stoicism is the idea of letting go of attachment to outcomes. This concept, while simple in theory, can be challenging to put into practice. The Stoics teach that while we can control our actions and intentions, the results of those actions are often beyond our control. By releasing our attachment to specific outcomes, we free ourselves from unnecessary anxiety, disappointment, and frustration, enabling us to focus on what truly matters: our effort, our character, and our ability to respond to life's challenges with resilience. Stoicism emphasizes the importance of focusing on what we can control, and this principle is closely tied to the lesson of letting go of outcomes. According to the Stoics, the only things we have complete control over are our own thoughts, actions, and attitudes. Everything else, other people's opinions, external events, and the results of our actions, falls outside our sphere of control. When we attach ourselves to the outcome of our efforts, we become vulnerable to disappointment, because we're placing our happiness and sense of success in the hands of forces beyond our influence. Epictetus, one of the most well-known Stoic philosophers, often spoke about this concept. He said, "Do not seek to have events happen as you want them to, but instead want them to happen as they do happen, and your life will go well." This advice encourages us to embrace reality as it is, rather than wishing for things to turn out in a particular way. When we accept that outcomes are beyond our control, we shift our focus to what we can control: the effort we put into the task, our dedication, and our attitude toward whatever results may come. By detaching from outcomes, we also cultivate a greater sense of inner peace. Much of the stress and anxiety we experience comes from worrying about how things will turn out. Whether it's a job interview, a project at work, or a relationship, the fear of failure or disappointment can weigh heavily on our minds. Stoicism teaches us that by focusing on our efforts and letting go of the need for a specific result, we can reduce this mental burden. Instead of being preoccupied with success or failure, we can take pride in the fact that we gave our best, regardless of the outcome. Letting go of outcomes doesn't mean we stop setting goals or striving for excellence. In fact, the Stoics were proponents of working diligently and pursuing our goals with purpose. However, they emphasized that while we should give our best effort, we must remain unattached to the results. This distinction allows us to stay motivated and disciplined without being emotionally tied to the outcome. Whether we succeed or fail in achieving a particular goal, what matters most is the process, the learning, growth, and integrity we demonstrate along the way. Moreover, detaching from outcomes allows us to bounce back more easily from setbacks. When we are fixated on achieving a specific result, any deviation from that plan can feel devastating. But when we approach life with the understanding that outcomes are not entirely within our control, we become more adaptable and resilient. If things don't go as planned, we can accept the situation and find a new way forward without being consumed by disappointment or regret. Another benefit of this Stoic lesson is that it helps us build a stronger sense of self-worth. When we tie our value to outcomes, such as winning an award, getting a promotion, or gaining external recognition, we base our worth on things we cannot control. But when we focus on the effort we put into living virtuously and doing our best, we cultivate a sense of self-worth that is independent of external success or failure. Lesson 12. Practice empathy and compassion. While Stoicism is often associated with self-discipline, rationality, and resilience, an equally important aspect of Stoic philosophy is the practice of empathy and compassion. The Stoics believed that we are all interconnected, part of a larger human community, and that our well-being is tied to the well-being of others. Lesson 12 emphasizes the importance of showing kindness, understanding, and compassion to those around us, recognizing our shared humanity and the common struggles we all face. One of the fundamental principles of Stoicism is the idea that we are all part of a larger whole. The Stoics viewed the world as an interconnected system, where each individual plays a role in contributing to the greater good. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, often reflected on the idea of interconnectedness. He wrote, "We are all working together to one end, some with knowledge and design, and others without it." This recognition of our shared purpose leads to the Stoic belief that practicing empathy and compassion is not just a moral duty, but an essential part of living in harmony with the world around us. To the Stoics, compassion means understanding that others, like ourselves, are subject to the same challenges, fears, and emotions. While we might appear different in terms of background, status, or circumstances, we all share the same fundamental experiences as human beings. Understanding this commonality allows us to approach others with kindness and patience, recognizing that we too have our own struggles. This Stoic approach to empathy is rooted in the idea that our judgments about others should be tempered by the understanding that no one is perfect, and that everyone is doing the best they can within the context of their own experiences and knowledge. Empathy in Stoicism is not simply about feeling for others. It also involves taking positive action to support and help them. The Stoics believed that living virtuously meant striving to improve the lives of those around us. Whether through a kind word, a helping hand, or simply listening, Stoicism teaches us that small acts of compassion contribute to the well-being of the community. Seneca, another key Stoic philosopher, wrote extensively about the importance of kindness and helping others. He argued that practicing generosity and compassion was not only a duty, but also a source of joy and fulfillment. Moreover, empathy and compassion are closely linked to the Stoic practice of understanding that we cannot control others' actions, only our responses to them. When people behave in ways that frustrate or upset us, Stoicism teaches us to respond with patience and understanding, rather than anger or judgment. This doesn't mean that we condone harmful behavior, but it does mean recognizing that everyone makes mistakes, and we can choose to respond with empathy instead of allowing anger to control our reactions. By responding compassionately, we create more harmonious relationships and avoid unnecessary conflict. Practicing empathy also involves the Stoic principle of seeing things from another person's perspective. Marcus Aurelius encouraged this practice by suggesting that we always keep in mind that all rational beings are fellow creatures, and that to care for all men is according to man's nature. When we take the time to understand someone else's viewpoint or experiences, we become more patient and less quick to judge. This perspective-taking leads to greater emotional intelligence, helping us to navigate complex social situations with grace and understanding. Finally, empathy and compassion are key to creating a more just and fair society. Stoicism teaches that we should treat everyone with fairness, regardless of their status or position in life. By recognizing the inherent dignity of every person, we can contribute to a more equitable world. The Stoics believed that true happiness and fulfillment come not from selfish pursuits, but from contributing to the greater good and living in alignment with the common welfare of all. Lesson 13. Aim for progress, not perfection. One of the most practical and empowering lessons in Stoicism is the idea of striving for progress, not perfection. The Stoics recognize that perfection is an unattainable goal for humans, who are inherently flawed and subject to the challenges and uncertainties of life. Instead of fixating on being perfect, Stoicism encourages us to focus on making steady improvements, cultivating self-awareness, and embracing the journey of personal growth. At its core, this lesson teaches us to be patient with ourselves and to acknowledge that growth is a continuous process. Seneca, the Roman philosopher, advised, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself." In this, Seneca emphasizes that growth is achieved through struggle, mistakes, and setbacks. The Stoics understood that progress comes through practice and persistence, not through the unrealistic expectation of perfection. By accepting this, we reduce the pressure we place on ourselves and allow space for gradual improvement. Aiming for progress rather than perfection also helps us maintain a healthier and more balanced perspective on our personal development. In modern society, we are often conditioned to believe that we must excel in every aspect of life, whether it's our careers, relationships, or physical appearance. This relentless pursuit of perfection can lead to feelings of inadequacy, frustration, and self-doubt. The Stoics, however, remind us that growth is a lifelong journey, and it's okay to be imperfect. What matters is that we are constantly moving forward, even if the steps are small. Moreover, the Stoic approach to progress encourages self-compassion. When we accept that perfection is impossible, we become more forgiving of our mistakes and shortcomings. Instead of berating ourselves for not meeting unrealistic standards, we can reflect on our efforts, learn from our failures, and continue striving for improvement. This mindset not only reduces unnecessary stress, but also promotes resilience, as we learn to bounce back from setbacks with a constructive attitude rather than self-criticism. Marcus Aurelius advised, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." This focus on the small victories and the opportunities for growth helps us maintain a positive outlook on life. Another benefit of aiming for progress is that it helps us stay grounded in reality. Perfection is often tied to idealized, unattainable standards that are out of touch with the complexities of life. Whether in our work, personal development, or relationships, the pursuit of perfection can lead to frustration when things don't go as planned. The Stoics teach us to remain flexible and adaptable, focusing on the process rather than obsessing over the outcome. When we let go of the need for perfection, we become more open to learning from our experiences and adjusting our course as needed. This lesson also highlights the importance of embracing imperfection in others. Just as we are on a journey of progress, so too are the people around us. Recognizing that everyone is imperfect fosters greater empathy and patience in our relationships. Instead of expecting perfection from others, we can appreciate their efforts and support them in their growth, creating more harmonious and compassionate connections. One practical way to implement this lesson is through reflection and goal setting. Rather than setting unrealistic goals that demand immediate perfection, we can focus on setting smaller, achievable milestones that reflect progress. By tracking these milestones, we can see our growth over time and celebrate our improvements, no matter how modest they may seem. Journaling, a common Stoic practice, is a helpful tool for reflecting on our progress, identifying areas for growth, and setting intentions for continued development. The Stoic lessons we've explored offer timeless wisdom for living a more intentional, resilient, and fulfilling life. From focusing on what you can control, to embracing adversity, practicing gratitude, and letting go of attachment to outcomes, these principles guide us toward becoming better versions of ourselves. Stoicism teaches that life's challenges are not obstacles but opportunities for growth, and by adopting these lessons, we can navigate life with greater clarity, purpose, and inner peace. Whether you're just beginning your Stoic journey or deepening your practice, remember that the key to Stoicism is in the daily application of these teachings. Progress, not perfection, is what matters. Each day provides new chances to practice mindfulness, compassion, resilience, and self-awareness. The Stoics remind us that we don't have to be perfect. What's important is that we strive to improve, learn from our mistakes, and grow with each passing moment. If you found these lessons helpful, take a moment to reflect on which one resonated with you the most and how you can apply it in your life. Start small, stay consistent, and watch as these teachings begin to transform your mindset and your approach to life's challenges. To stay connected with more content on Stoicism and self-improvement, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the Stoic Mastery channel. By subscribing, you'll join a community of like-minded individuals dedicated to mastering the art of living. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss a new video. Let us know in the comments below which Stoic lesson you're planning to implement today.